Stock of the Day is brought to you by IG, Australia's #1 CFD provider. Trade over 17,000 markets with extended trading hours on key US shares and competitive spreads, all on an award-winning platform. Get started at IG.com.
The stock of the day is Netwealth. It is asking the federal government for assistance to repay nearly 1,100 customers who lost just over $100 million in the collapse of the First Guardian retirement investment scheme. Now, Netwealth says that it believes the scheme and manager, Falcon Capital, engaged in fraudulent conduct. It says that sufficient evidence exists, in its view, to establish that losses arose from fraud and the legal requirements for assistance have been met. The corporate regulator, ASIC, is investigating companies involved in the collapse of First Guardian, including Netwealth. ASIC is suing equity trustees over the collapse. Share price of Netwealth, approaching 1 p.m. here in Sydney on this Monday afternoon, is $32.17, up by 1.3%. My guests today, David Lane from Minnett and Andrew Coleman from Teaminvest. David Lane, Netwealth, buy, hold, sell today.
We've actually got a sell recommendation on Netwealth. Great business, and we think that it is a growing business. They had net inflows of about $4 billion in the last quarter. Although, interestingly, we did notice that the last 3 months of the quarter, the latter part of the 3 months, they had a bit of a slowdown in inflows. And as you mentioned, they had that exposure to First Guardian, so they lodged the application for financial support from the government. We don't know what the outcome of that will be, and probably won't know that for a number of years, unfortunately. But as I said, we've got a sell recommendation on it. Our target price is $18.60, so we think they're pretty fully priced, trading on a PE ratio of 67 times. We've also got a sell recommendation on Hub24 on valuation grounds as well, even though Hub is also been growing, and they didn't actually have any exposure to First Guardian. The one that we do like in that sector from a valuation perspective is Praemium. It's trading at a much cheaper PE ratio. They're trading at around 27 times, so we think that there's further upside in Praemium. They've recently announced a number of agreements with Bell Potter and other groups around the country. So, we think that Praemium is better value than Netwealth. And, surprised that today's announcement, the share price is actually up after the disclosure of the $101 million exposure to First Guardian.
Andrew, buy, hold, or sell for Netwealth?
I might just take this in two parts, because I think it's really useful to talk about the operations of Netwealth in a company, and then the huge potentially existential risk that applies to this entire sector that Shield and First Guardian have uncovered. So firstly, Netwealth as a business basically ticks all the boxes that we would like at Teaminvest from a quantitative analysis point of view. Very high return on equity, north of 50%. That's a 5-0, not 1-5. Same thing with return on capital. Growing at about 20% per annum with over 90% stability, no debt, founder management in charge who have great reputations for their honesty, capability, and ethics. The challenge, of course, recently has been the PE. The market has fallen in love with these administration platforms. And usually the market falls in love with things just about the time when the Black Swan event happens. And I think that's exactly what we're starting to see here with platforms and Shield and First Guardian, because ASIC's view, seems to have taken the view, ASIC, that these are not just administration providers, shopping centres for financial planners to pick products, but they actually carry risk as if they are the manager or the custodian of the funds on their platform. And that's a material risk that I don't think investors have been factoring in appropriately, because it wasn't on the radar. No one thought there were black swans until they arrived in Perth in the 19th century. And it's the same thing here. If you think about it, Netwealth's got over 100 billion roughly on their platform. If they are now at risk that any time an investor loses money who uses their platform, for the value of any losses suffered, it doesn't take a big percentage drop in the market or in the performance of something like a fraud to wipe out all of their profits, not just now, but for multiple generations. And if you sort of think about that, to me, that now places it from being a wonderful, stable business into the kind of business that has a sword of Damocles existential risk guillotine hanging over the neck of that company as an investor. And at that point, I switched from being very bullish about the company to thinking, let someone else take that risk, because I like to invest like a pleasure cruise, being able to enjoy the ride, sit back, relax, and earn lots of money. I don't like to be constantly worrying that we're about to hit the iceberg. And this is now potentially an iceberg for them, Hub, Praemium, and anyone else in the sector.
It's a sell.
It is.
Thanks, guys. Our stock of the day, Netwealth. It's a sell for both of my guests.
The stock of the day was brought to you by IG. Trade over 12,000 shares and ETFs, including major tech giants with extended hours on an award-winning platform. Get started at IG.com.